Internationally, a big news today is UAE comes out of OPEC. UAE ditched OPEC plus countries. Why UAE ditched the OPEC and OPEC plus countries? This is the biggest million, billion and trillion, in fact, $1 trillion question before the financial experts, international experts and geopolitical experts. But as far as my mind is concerned, it is because of the India, UAE sacrificed this OPEC and OPEC plus membership. Why UAE sacrificed the OPEC and OPEC plus for the India? Because India, the third largest consumer of the petroleum on the earth surface now. Per day, its consumption is around 6 million barrels per day. But UAE's production capacity is 6 million barrels per day. But however, this OPEC is ceiling imposed on the UAE production, that the present OPEC ceiling is around 2.9 million barrels per day. That's why OPEC membership and OPEC plus membership is constraining this and preventing UAE to utilize its actual production capacity. Now this Gulf of Hormuz Strait closed and Iran attacking UAE are also creating certain kind of suffocation for the OPEC. And UAE relationship with Saudi Arabia is also soared because of the Yemen crisis. That's why UAE, United India has given assurance, a strong and convinced assurance to UAE that we will buy off of your production, that is off of our consumption, that is around 2.5 to 3 million barrels per day. And this can be, this production, this petroleum export from the UAE can be bypassed this Hormuz Strait, which is the crucial choke point and crucial controversial point between the UAE, Iran and USA. Now, through this Gulf of Oman port of the Fujairah of the UAE, we can import petroleum bypassing the Hormuz Strait. Indian naval forces, Indian Navy ships are so strong in the Gulf of Oman and Northern Arabian Sea. In fact, these are the more Indian Navy is more strong, more efficient because of its strategical location even compared to United States of America. That's why India able to convince the UAE that it is better to comes out of the OPEC and comes out of the OPEC plus. OPEC is this is the UAE comes out of the OPEC is the biggest shock to Saudi Arabia, and this is the biggest oil producer of the earth and biggest oil producer of the OPEC countries. And this is in fact this is the biggest shock to United States of America, and further it is the biggest shock to China, because India ensured its energy security, because Gulf of Oman and UAE, it has the production capacity and it has the sufficient oil reserves of around 1 billion barrels proven reserves and around 7th largest natural gas. This can it can feed the India's energy requirements for the coming 5 decades, around 50% of its oil requirements per day. That's why India convinced UAE. UAE was convinced by India's raising this oil consumption per day. That's why UAE has ditched the OPEC, plus, and India was ensured its energy security through its greatest diplomacy. In fact, this Ajit Doval visited the UAE on April 29th, and UAE President suddenly landed in Delhi on January 29th. Indian Prime Minister Modi talked to UAE President top Emirates so many times since war started. These are all nothing more than a great diplomacy which leads to a secret oil deal between the UAE and India.